Welcome back, guys. I'm Nick. This is Alec. We're going to be doing Job 3 today. What's going on, brother?
How we doing?
Good, I'm good. All right. So, let's do a recap.
Yeah, that's where do we leave off?
Job 2, his buddies are crying with him.
Well, let's start at Job 1. Really, just do a quick recap of Job 1.
Okay. So let's just recap both of them. So Job has taken his livestock and his family and also his physical health.
Satan has taken Job.
Oh, yeah. What did I say?
Job has taken.
Yeah. Satan took Job's livestock, family, and physical health. And so we have his friends and his wife all telling him to curse God. And Job won't do it.
Yep.
At least not yet. It's to be seen whether he
which
will.
Would be, and everyone in this life has gone through something in their life where they, have almost an anger towards God, because especially if you trust in him with all your heart, that he guides you and protects you and things like that. And when something like this happens, you can't see what the future plan or the future holds for you. So you tend to get angry and resentful and things like that. But this is showing that you can have all these, terrible things happen to you, and yet Job is still standing strong in his faith for God.
Mm-hmm. And I think, everybody has bad things happen, and at least when you're young, when those bad things happen, you don't have the relationship with Jesus or the spiritual maturity or whatever you want to call it to understand that it will get better and God has that plan. Like you don't have evidence backing those beliefs up, so you're automatically going to assume God's doing this to mess with you.
That's exactly right. And I always like to go to my testimony with everything that happened at Mercyhurst with me, my academics falling off and then getting, losing my scholarship because of my academics. At the time, I thought it was the worst thing in the world. But lo and behold, it actually turned my whole life around. It ended up, first off, I got saved in that time that, I was off and that I ended up, leaving Mercyhurst. I came back and, I ended up meeting you. I got saved, came back, started leading Bible study, met you. You came a couple times, forever grateful that, that you ended up coming into the library and sitting next to me, even though I thought it was weird at the time. I go, what's this guy doing in here?
I just opened the door. What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm like, what is he doing? But I said, hey, listen, have you ever heard of, that there used to be giants? And you were like, what?
Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude?
I think it was because I was researching something and you were like kind of there. And then I looked over at you and was like, what do you know? Like,
Gabe was sitting there too. And that like me opening the door and just saying hey to somebody that I know from class, that's not something I would do.
I didn't think so.
That's not me.
And after getting to know you and things like that, I can't even see it.
Yeah.
Like were you
that
just
was
random?
God who did that.
Yeah. Guiding you. And then I remember sending you all those videos just over and over, and you're like, send me more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it was like. Have you ever seen The Matrix?
Yeah.
So Morpheus takes Neo into the real world, right? He gives him the red pill, okay? Wakes him up. Neo goes in and he's learning inside that simulation how to fight, how to break the laws of, the actual fake world.
Yeah.
And he keeps coming out of it and he keeps going, I want more. Like, I want more. Like, meaning like he didn't realize that he could do all this stuff. And he didn't, you know what I mean? Like he was realizing truth about everything in this life. and he wanted to more, more. And
Right.
that's what, like, it kind of reminded me of you, in that
That's what
sense.
it felt like, dude. Because I was like, I remember you sent me the first video, and it was Kent Hovind versus Michael Shermer in an evolution debate.
Oh,
And I didn't watch it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And you texted me, like you sent it to me, didn't say anything for a couple of days, and then you were like, "Hey man, did you watch that video?" And I was like, "Nah, not yet. I'm getting to it." And then like a week later or
I
something,
disregarded you.
yeah.
At that
No,
point,
I had forgotten again, and then we saw each other in class, and you said something about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna go watch that video. I got some free time. I'm gonna go watch it. So I went and watched the video, and immediately,
I didn't believe you at all that you were
yeah,
going to
I
watch
know,
it.
I know. But immediately after I watched the video, I just texted you. I was like, dude, send me another video. And it was like weeks.
It
I
was
didn't leave my
actually
room.
it actually was contagious for me too, because I was watching your eyes
Yeah.
open slowly but surely with
Dude,
each
I was
video I
watching.
sent.
I was
And
just
I was
doing nothing
I
else.
was sitting in front of my phone going, which video will lead him to the next video? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this is a great one. He'll like this one.
Yeah.
And like giving you little bits of truth, like more and more and more. And then eventually, I think I was sending you 3 and 4 videos at a time. And
Then
those are
I would come back to you like a day later, like send me
and
more.
go, yeah, send me more. And I was like, holy crap. Like, and if you look at my phone, my YouTube, I have certain playlists that I have
Yeah,
all the YouTube
I do
videos.
too. Yeah.
I have like in the ones I was sending you was all from my one playlist that it encompasses all the truths, but it doesn't have the nitty gritty like the narrow stuff.
Mhm.
It has like the big bulk, like locations, the Nephilim, flat earth, things like that, And
Yeah,
I just was taking loads and just sending them to you. I remember that. That was
dude, it was awesome. It was like seriously, I didn't leave my room. My friends would be asking to go like party, and I would just be like, nah, I'm gonna learn.
I and I was just like that when I first started, like when I got saved and I started watching those YouTube videos, I couldn't sleep at night because I would put one on and I I would click the next one. I was so like filled with adrenaline
Yeah,
that I was like, holy shit, I've been lied to. I
I
gotta
know
get
the
another one.
feeling, dude. I know the feeling. And it's I remember sophomore year, I had my own room at Mercyhurst. And so I did freshman year too at the end of the year, but sophomore year, I had my TV in my room, and I would put something on, and I would be up until 3 a.m. I would be just sitting there like playing binaural beats and meditating, and I astral projected a couple times just in my
Yeah.
room, which I never even knew existed. Like I didn't know that was possible in high
Yeah.
school. So I mean, crazy stuff, crazy stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And
But
then
yeah,
and it's
and
cool when you find
I
somebody who's actually willing to watch the videos.
yeah, and that was I just attributed you to everyone else because people tell me all the time, hey, like, where did you learn all that? Because I tell them about nutrition. Where did you
Yeah,
learn that? Then I go, here, like nutrition will lead you into these particular things. Like when you raise your testosterone, you'll end up believing in God. And
yeah,
like they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, tell me some more of these truths. Send me some of the videos that you watch because I'd be like, yeah, well, I've watched a couple videos. And as soon as I send them, I hear
yeah,
nothing. I hear crickets
yeah.
for
Usually you send them one, and you're like, "Hey, let me know after you watch that. I'll send you more." And then no,
nothing. Hey, what's his name? A guy who ended up, who was there for that night at Mercyhurst with me. He was
yeah.
he led Bible study Frishy.
Mhm.
Um, I sent him a bunch of verses, just um just having a take on hell, like, that I don't necessarily believe that anyone's gonna perish in the lake of fire except for the Satan and his angels.
Mhm.
And the Nephilim, because they're not written in the book of life. That's it. Now I believe that every human being is gonna eventually come around, but we're stuck here in this prison until. we obviously are saved, and then we can leave this place. And so I was taking scriptures that, kind of show him that reincarnation is in the Bible,
Right.
things like that. And but yeah, I heard crickets. I have not heard from him for about a week now.
And that's a guy who has sought out some truth.
Yeah.
So it's very rare to find someone who is who's willing to seek truth with no caveats.
Yeah, which doesn't make much sense because he's like, I don't know. I think that God may put people in your life that like allow you to, like, it's one thing if you're truly saved, but then like I think that there's people that are put in your life that are here as non-player characters, but like they don't know they are, nor would they ever.
Yeah,
What?
obviously.
I'm not saying that I know who is and who isn't, but some telltale signs give it away. Like if you got the vaccine, you're most likely an NPC. Like it, and that's just, it is what it is at this point, right?
Yeah.
And but I think that there are certain things in this world that allow you to see like the truth in all these different matters. And the more open you are, the more I think that you're probably what they used to call in the old religions, someone who has the true light within them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I mean, this has been preached since Aristotle, Plato, even way before.
That's pretty interesting because open-mindedness is generally a character trait that leads to, well, that it doesn't necessarily lead to, but it is correlated with being left-leaning. Now that might not be today's American left. Like traditional liberalism and the American left today are two very different things.
Yeah.
So I mean that might be where I'm getting confused, but that's
yeah. And we have the far right who are stuck in the old ways, right? And then you have the far left who have not only tried to liberalize everything, but like taken it to an extreme that goes beyond the all bounds of moral decency. You know what I mean?
Quality
like,
of outcome. Yeah.
In everything that they do, they're taking it to the extreme instead of actually just being like more in the middle, which everyone realistically should be. There should be some give and take.
Yeah, we need people on both sides, and to try and silence one side, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it can get dangerous when that starts to happen.
Yeah. All right, let's read Job. You
All
ready?
Right. I'm ready.
All right. Job 3, verse 1. After this opening.
Wait. So just read Job 2:13 so that we know. So he's crying right now. Okay. And so it says, so they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights. Remember, symbolic 7, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. They're just sitting there watching him. Mm-hmm. He's literally, I think he's naked.
And they all just, yeah, he's naked.
He's butt naked because
he shaved his head and he's naked.
He's trying to become like a child. Innocent. All right, here we go.
Wait, I want to look into that a little bit. So we were talking yesterday about verse 12. When they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they were weeping, like praying, asking God to forgive him, because it had to have had something to do with him being bald and naked. Had to.
Yeah. That might be in their the old times, maybe some sort of tradition when you've really sinned against God.
Yeah, maybe that was actually a normal thing, and that was more understood.
Like when you thought God was punishing you, maybe you shaved your head and got naked, and sat there, and so that other people could pray for you. Remember, the prayer of the righteous availeth much, right?
Sure does.
So the righteous, I mean, especially it says that
Effectual
it
fervent
doesn't
prayer of a righteous man availeth much.
pervert. Yeah, there it is. That's perfect. And it doesn't say that it was one person praying singled out. It doesn't say that one guy came and started praying. It doesn't say another guy came. What it says was they all came.
Mhm.
And what do
Yeah.
we know about Jesus, right? He says, when two or more are gathered in my name, I am there with them. So they were all coming and using literally Jesus or the Christ figure to come and pray, maybe.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
maybe an interpretation on it.
I mean, I see that just in conversations with you when we do the Bible studies. Like, you hold me accountable and keep me focused on this topic. And I think I do the same for you.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
for sure.
that's definitely the Christ spirit doing that. So
Oh, yeah, for
pretty
sure.
cool. All right, let's start in Job 3. After this opened Job's mouth and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man child conceived. Let that day be darkness. Let not God regard it from above. Neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. All right, that kind of a lot happened there, I think. So
Yeah, that's
he's cursing the day that he was born, which kind of makes sense to me. Like, I wish sometimes that I had never left God. It's a bittersweet sort of thing, because I do love life,
yeah.
I love this world. I love the things that I can do here. I love being able to serve God. And I'm not just like, obviously I love material things too. I'm pretty worldly, but I wish that I was never born a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think that and that depends on where you believe we came from. Now,
Yeah, definitely.
how we got here is the fundamental question that I consistently ask is, what are we doing here?
Right.
How did we end up here? Like, I know that this isn't my world. I know this isn't my home. How
Mm.
did I get imprisoned here? What did I do? Or what did someone else do to put me here? Which most likely it was me that did something that ended up having to come here, is my guess.
Well, it would have had to be you in a past life, but then
Well,
you
even
go back
before
far
that,
enough that, like, eventually
even
your soul enters this world for the first time.
for the first time. And what did I do to receive that? Did I chase
You
after
chose it.
something? And so there is a worldview, and I kind of like this theory too, that we came here so that we could. So if you think about it outside of this world, when you're in the presence of God, think about it as in levels of spirituality. Okay. So the angels, just think about this. They have a level 1 to a level 100. Okay. And you start off as a level 1 whenever you're, whatever you're created or you exist within a, I think that I don't know exactly how it works, but think about it as levels. And if you come here and you actually get saved, you can maybe jump levels, if that makes any sense. And that's why you can attain crowns here on earth. Remember, he says you can attain those 7 crowns in heaven, which maybe we didn't have any crowns. And we said, oh God, hey, listen, if I take on that material flesh body, I'd still love you. And guess what? Lifetimes later, we're still here, meaning that this world is not a joke, meaning, like, because I think that everyone that left him loved him and said the same thing and said, hey, listen,
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's possible.
And I think that, he said, well, go down there, test, let's test your faith first off, and let's see if you can resist temptations,
Yeah.
desires of something external to this soul. It's easy to resist temptations when you're in the spirit. Like he's saying that came straight from me. Let's, under someone else's creation, let me put you in there, in that creation right there. And let's see if you can still love me with all your heart, soul, and might.
It's tough to do.
It is. And,
It's tough to
narrow is
do
the
for
way.
one moment. That's tough to do for one moment. But
Exactly.
we're here for so long. Like you're constantly dealing with just hellfire being flung at you.
Yeah, and that's, you have Paul. I believe is it in Ephesians where he says you put on the full armor of God, right?
That's exactly what I was just thinking of, dude.
He's got the breastplate of righteousness, the helmet of salvation,
The shield
the
of faith.
gospel of peace on his feet.
Yep.
He's got the shield of faith. He's got the sword of the Holy Spirit,
And
is it the
there's a belt too, right?
belt of truth?
Belt of truth. I think that's
So
it.
he gives you all these weapons that are formed. He gives you to fight against the spiritual darkness, or he calls them the principalities, the rulers of this world. Like he's saying that
It's also interesting that the sword is the Holy Spirit, because in Hebrews 4:12, I believe it says the word of God is quick and sharper than any two-edged sword,
it's cutting deeper.
dividing asunder of soul and spirit. But that's the word, and the word is Jesus.
Exactly.
So the Holy Spirit's the sword, but then in Hebrews, Jesus is the sword. And also in Revelation, when Jesus comes back, he's got a sword coming out of his mouth,
which is the word. The word. Yeah. It's the word of God. It is the sword. It literally is our defense and our offense.
Yep.
If that makes any sense. It literally is how you defeat the rulers of this world, the darkness, the principalities, the rulers of the darkness.
Hey, get over here. You're not done.
But yeah, let's
pretty cool concept.
But I think that it's good to mention what Job is saying here. Let that day be darkness. So wait a second. And then you go down a little bit and it says, neither let the light shine upon it. And then he goes back to it. He says, let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Keeps talking about this darkness, right? Darkness. He can only see darkness around him. Now, I know whenever I'm seeing a lot of darkness around me, like it's not a good feeling. And that's, I don't necessarily, he says, let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it.
So he's almost succumbing to depression. Like he's entering hell right now.
No, I think that he's already in hell, but I think he's going lower levels right now. His consciousness is bringing him to a level of hell, this place, but to a worse this place.
Exactly.
And he literally cannot see anything but darkness around him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's no wonder he keeps saying, let that night be solitary. I mean, he just keeps saying, curse the day, darkness, no light,
Yeah.
And we obviously know that Jesus is the light of the world, right?
Light of the world.
The light of the world. Okay, so yeah, let's keep going. But yeah, I think that was pretty crazy.
Okay, now we're in verse 9. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day, because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. Why did I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why did the knees prevent me, or why the breasts that I should suck?
Okay.
Good. For now should
Yeah.
I have lain still and been quiet, I should have slept. Then had I
Why
been
died I not from here? Wait a second. Let's go back. He says, why died I not from the womb? He doesn't want to be born, right?
Mhm.
Why did I not give up the ghost? Wait a second. This is kind of hinting at something.
He
When
had the
I
ghost.
He had the ghost in the womb. So this, remember, who else leapt for joy in the womb?
Jacob? Or no?
John the Baptist. There was not a
I'm
man that was
thinking of that story where Jacob and Esau were fighting.
neither have they done good or evil in the womb, but God
Yeah.
chose Jacob. Yeah.
Right.
Hath not the potter power over the clay, things like that. But we'll get into that later on.
Okay. Why did the knees prevent me? Why the breasts that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet, I should have slept. Then had I been at rest. With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as in hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants which never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures. He's like,
So-
God, please kill me.
I mean, I have all this highlighted on my since verse 16. He says, or as in hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants which never saw light. Obviously he's still talking about being born. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. He's saying that unless you come here, you don't even hear the voice of the oppressor. You don't have any relation with that guy. Because until you come here, he has no hold on you.
Who's the oppressor?
My guess is to him it's Satan, which I would probably consider that to be maybe Enlil or Enki, the ruler of this world of some sorts. Like maybe Marduk. Marduk was supposedly challenging them.
Yeah,
in the
Marduk
Sumerian
he was the king of the gods, right? Yeah,
No,
he had
so it
eyes
goes.
all over his body, and his words were
So
what did his
he.
words do?
So what? So what Marduk could actually convince his words. I think this is what you're talking about. So you have Anu, you have Enlil and Enki. Enlil and Enki both have children. Marduk is one of those children. Now Chaos gets released. Marduk says, "Hey, I'm strong enough to defeat him." And they're like,
and all the other gods are like, they're all trying to defeat him.
No one can contain. Yep. And Marduk comes along and he contains it.
Yep.
He contains whatever the danger is of the chaos that has ensued from what they call, they gave it an anthropomorphic figure of some sort. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, Marduk comes along. So maybe Marduk being the new ruler of this world, because he said he was going to challenge Enlil and Enki for that rulership. Anu is kind of hands off in this world, is what they said. Kind of just letting everything go, like and be held by these other gods, is essentially what he said.
So is Anu the Most High?
Anu would be considered the Most High out of all these gods, but he's not our god. I think we just keep thinking past him. Like Anu is Yodabov. Yodabov creates Yahweh and Baal. They're the two.
And so Yodabov is actively watching, but He doesn't really interfere.
I think that he has, I think he's given, and I don't necessarily, I think when Christ comes, I think Yeldabaoth intervenes. But I think right now, Yeldabaoth has no reason to fear any humans leaving this place yet, because Jesus hasn't came. So he has no fear. So he's kind of hands off. But when Christ comes, he comes down and goes, hey, listen, I'll give you all the kingdoms of this world. And then he doesn't know who this Christ is. You know why? Because he can sense power. He goes, hey, throw yourself off this mountain. The angels will come and save you. That's what, I've been told, I've been told by, God, and he can't figure out why Jesus can't be broken. Okay. He knows of this higher God because he built this place based on that, but he can't imagine that, like, what it truly is like, if that makes any sense. And that's why he's like
the idea that you can apprehend God, but you can't comprehend God.
Yeah, you can be aware of something and not actually
you can vaguely describe
it.
You can understand specific aspects of it, but you can't grasp all of it at the same time.
No, and I mean they put it in the best words, ineffable.
Yeah.
I mean, unspeakable. You can't speak about it.
Yeah. I think another thing that's really cool about these verses, verse 16 is, so he's talking about, for now should I have lain still and been quiet, I should have slept, then had I been at rest. So he's talking about how he would have just been chilling. He would have been with God, or I'm not sure if he's saying that it would have been nothingness, but whatever it is, he's saying that infants which never saw light are there.
Yep, exactly.
So like these people who ask, is a baby that was never born, is that baby saved?
I
think this is the answer.
Well,
right there.
I think he's kind of given us that he's got the Plato. Everyone lives in this idea realm outside of here with it, which is with God. Okay, you exist as. Wait, what?
You talking about the allegory of the cave?
No, this is so. There's something external to all the material world. It's just a bunch of ideas, consciousness, essentially. Okay, so Plato believes that everyone's stored here and passes through it, like almost like a tunnel.
Yeah, I've read this too.
Yeah, you gain all the information from it. You attain all these ideas from the spiritual realm, and then as soon as you are born here, like it,
you can't remember them perfectly.
Yeah, you know of them, but you don't know what they are.
Right. It's like beauty, love.
You have some sort of mere reflection of something that's lesser.
Even bad things, horror. Like you have these perfect examples of these concepts. We can apprehend them, but we can't comprehend them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, right. Where do we leave off?
We're in 20.
Yeah.
Or 22. Which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. Wait, let's go back to
20.
Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, for which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came. So what is he, what do you think he greatly feared?
I think he's.
You think it's his loved ones turning against God?
No, I think it's greater than that. I truly believe that because I already know the ending, I can see it I have a better perspective of the beginning because I know the end.
Right.
So I know where he's going. I know what he's thinking because, yeah, obviously knowing the end, he's literally saying, for the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me. I think he thinks God has forsaken him.
Maybe.
I honestly think, and
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that makes sense.